Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily NVIDIA report for Monday, December 30th, 2024. I'm going to jump around a little bit and let's start with kind of the midterm outlook. I'm going to be using daily charts here. 125.54, 127.94. It is a 4.5 point range roughly. Sorry, 2.5 point range roughly. That, if tested, can contain selling through January, and from here we can round up nicely. Within a couple of months of doing so, we could round up to longer term channel resistance perhaps at 179.93. There's also a channel top that precedes it at 165.40. So I'm jumping around here just a little bit, but I do want to mention here's the chart that I should be starting with, right? 125.54 to 127.94. That is your base of midterm support, able to contain selling through January, possibly through February, and above which, holding above that area, will keep as a kind of a 1 to 2 month target the 165.40 channel top. Now, on the way up, 143.39 is going to have something to say about how soon we might reach 165.40. We could top out at 143.39, which is preceded by 140.46. You can see upper right, we have that as our weekly resistance area. This 140.46 to 143.39 region, which did contain last week's highs, can continue to do so this week. And over the next couple of weeks, over the next week or two, we can fall back to the 125.54 to 127.94 region, where once again we could bottom out through February and round up nicely, ultimately allowing 165.40. If we were to close in the coming 3 to 5 days above 143.39, I see within 3 to 5 weeks, possibly by the end of January, this 165.40 channel top. On the weekly chart, it comes in at 166.92. I don't mean to throw a bunch of numbers your way. We'll be apprising you of this as we move through time, of course. Getting back to this, though, this is our basis for the next week or two. You're selling the lower 140s, anticipating the mid to upper 120s. Now, I say that holding above this area will maintain a bullish framework as we move into February. And I say that because on the weekly chart, as you recall, a couple of weeks ago, we actually did test this channel structure. They're always a little different on the weekly chart. So if you want to note 130.34, 127 even, but to keep it simple on the daily chart, a more fine-tuned approach, 125.54 to 127.94. Is it in reach this week? The answer for me is yes. Over the next 3 to 5 days or sooner, if we close today below 134.38. 134.38 is a downside 50% retracement from the low about 2 weeks ago against last week's high. It can contain daily selling pressures, and above which the 140.46 to 143.39 region remains in reach, possibly today, where we can place a weekly high, and from here, 2 to 3 week swing traders, you can play the short side back into the mid to upper 120s. Now, you may have gotten long a couple of weeks ago when we slipped into this zone of support that was actually on the weekly chart, and maybe you're holding out for the low 140s. This is an area to take profits if you've been long for the last week and a half or so, and you could consider reversing and playing the short side back into the mid to upper 120s within a couple of weeks of testing, which we already did actually last week, but within a couple of weeks of testing, we can fall back into this zone. Once again, closing today below 134.38, we should this week visit the 125.54 to 127.94 region, where profits can be taken on short positions that are short-term in scope, 3 to 5 days, perhaps 2 to 3 weeks following the testing last week of the 140.46 inside channel. So profits can be taken in the mid to upper 120s, and in fact, you can go long in the mid to upper 120s, anticipating then upward continuation, as I say, into what is really the mid 160s and climbing 165.40. That becomes clarified if we were to close today above 143.49. So I don't expect it today, but if we do close above 143.39 and you're short or you're playing the short side into the mid to upper 120s, you want to reverse and go long, a 3 to 5 week buy signal to 165.40. All right. So that is the upside play. But until then, this is really what we're looking at. It's a kind of a congestive framework where you've got a descending channel top at 143.39, able to contain weekly buying pressures, and a rising channel bottom at 125.54, able to contain monthly selling pressures. We could continue to fill this wedge out for the next few weeks, and the market tips its hand one way or the other. The probability is above 143.39, given the longer term significance of 125.54. And if we close above 143.39, it is a go long buy signal to 152.89, that November high, within a week, two at the very most. And as we continue through time, the mid 160s and climbing all the way into the upper 170s is a real possibility. We will fine tune all this in the weeks ahead, especially if we were to close in the coming days above 143.39. Closing, though, today below 134.38, expect 125.54 to 127.94 within a matter of days, where the market can bottom out through February, and once tested, we can round up into the 160s, 170s within several months, clarified within 3 to 5 weeks of closing above 143.39. And that 3 to 5 day, 1 to 2 week signal up to 152.89 would be expected with a settlement above 143.39. Let's cover the downside just a little bit. It's not going to happen today, but if we did close below 125.54, especially if you got long, no good reason to stay long. You want to exit any long positions with a daily settlement below 125.54. When I say any long positions, I'm talking to those that are 3 to 5 weeks and shorter, because within 3 to 5 weeks of closing below 125.54, I would anticipate a significant sell-off into the very low 100 region. 102.15 would be expected. We can call it 1 to 2 months. But I do think volatility would spike with a settlement below 125.54, and this could be a full washout within 3, 4, 5 weeks at the most to 102.15. On the way down, of course, we've got 114.45, which is a downside 5/8 Fibonacci from that August low against the more recent November high. We could bounce nicely here for more than a day, possibly for a week, and round back up into the mid to upper 120s within a full week of doing so. But once again, closing below 125.54, I have no problem playing the short side as we move through January. You may consider reaching for 102 or 104 strike out of the money puts that don't expire for at least, I'd go 2 to 3 months out on that expiration. I don't think it's going to take any more than 2 months, but you want to go further out in time for the perceived amount of time it takes to reach your objective. You want to eliminate, obviously, time decay from your option strategy. So you want to maintain that delta, the rate of change of the option relative to the underlying stock price. And the way you do that typically is to go a little further out in time. You're going to spend more for that option, but you're going to have better bang for your buck, and you're not going to see your asset decaying and declining over time as you approach your objective. Is there anything else to say beyond what I already have? No, all the minor points have been carefully chosen for you aggressive day traders. But other than that, I'll leave you with this image. It says everything that I've just said. Please click like, share, subscribe. Check out wickedstocks.com, where we offer a daily SPY and daily triple Q analysis, weekly analysis in Apple, S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, 2 individual stock picks every week that we put out for 3 to 5 week out to 3 to 5 month position traders. And so you can see some of the more relevant videos we put out recently by going to wickedstocks.com. We'll be continuing with Tesla and NVIDIA on a daily basis. Daily analysis has resumed in both NVIDIA and Tesla that we'll be providing to you for no cost at all on our YouTube channel. That will continue. I don't know when our next break will be, but we did take a week off last week. We did provide you weekly analysis in NVIDIA, if you recall, with some of these levels on a weekly basis. Otherwise, I think I've said enough. I'm going to leave it at that for Monday's NVIDIA report. You have a great day.